Well, hi everyone. Welcome. It's so good to see all of you today. I see some familiar names popping up, so welcome back. We are in our second installment of our Spring 2026 Jammy Career Chat session. So this month's topic is which license? And it's an opportunity for our participants to gain a little more insight into the MACLP pathway for California, Texas, Arizona, Oregon, and Utah. So since we have been promoting this event, Oregon and Utah have been added as well too. So really excited to be able to introduce our speakers shortly. So for those of you who are familiar with our Jammy Communities of Practice programs, in the spring, we host these Jammy Career Chats. So it's an opportunity for you to have more intimate Q&A sessions and breakout rooms. My name is Yas Hardaway, and I'm the Executive Director of Career Services at GSEP. And this is a proud partnership between our GSEP Career Services and our Alumni Engagement Department. So what is in store for today? I'll briefly cover the learning outcomes that we hope you will gain from the session, some housekeeping items, and then we'll move into speaker introductions so that you'll have an opportunity to gain a better understanding of what each speaker's perspective will be. And then you'll get to go into breakouts and you'll have an opportunity to choose your own breakout. So we'll have actually two breakout sessions. So you'll get to choose the first one and then have an opportunity to rotate into a second one so that you can hear more than one perspective. And then we'll finish up with some resources and highlight what's next. So we hope that through this session that you will gain more clarity and confidence about your next career step, as well as expand your Pepperdine community. In the chat, my colleague Nadine will put a link to our participant drive. And in our drive, you will find eventually a recording of the main room as well as a speaker lineup. So you'll have an opportunity to look at all the speakers and their respective bios. So without further ado, I will turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Renee Dorn, who will introduce the topic and speakers. Dr. Dorn?
Thank you so much, Yaz, and welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining our Jammy session today. I am so excited because we have four fantastic alumni speakers for today. And then we have a bonus with GSEP staff member who's also going to be a speaker and have their own breakout room. So today we have five breakout rooms for you to choose from. So let me go ahead and start the introduction. So our first speaker is an alum. Her name is Alyssa Otterson. Welcome, Alyssa.
Hi, thank you. So nice to meet everyone. My name's Alyssa. So I graduated from the online GSEP program last spring in 2024, and I was actually in person on the West LA campus for the first part of my time, and then I transitioned to the online when I moved to Austin, Texas, and graduated from the online program. I am a LPCA in Texas and an APCC in California.
Wonderful. So the next speaker we have is Rebecca Bronstein. Welcome, Rebecca.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Rebecca Bronstein, and I attended the GSEP program in Malibu from 2015 to 2017. I am currently a licensed marriage and family therapist in California and an LPC or licensed professional counselor in Arizona.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Alyssa will have breakout room number 1 and Rebecca will have breakout room number 2. Just want you to remember that. Our next speaker is Miriam Kayada. Welcome, Miriam.
Hello, thank you. My name is Miriam Koyata. As Renee said, I graduated from the Aliento program in, I believe it was 2016, and I'm dual licensed LMFT, LPCC, and then I'm also licensed in Oregon as an LPC.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome, Miriam. And then our last alum is Taylor McMonigal. Welcome, Taylor.
Hi, thank you. So my name is Taylor McMonigal. I graduated from Pepperdine's day program in Malibu in 2018, and I'm now a licensed marriage and family therapist in 3 states, California, Texas, and Utah, and a licensed professional clinical counselor in California.
Wonderful. And then our GSEP staff member that will be joining us is Claudia Walters. So welcome, Claudia.
Hi, my name is Claudia Walters. I am the program administrator for GSCP, and I actually process program certifications for BBS. But for the purpose of this conversation, I do end up helping alumni with their paperwork that they usually have to complete for different states. You usually will need to provide some sort of educational background, your practicum information, and usually those forms will need to be signed off by some member from the university, and that's usually me. Sometimes those forms will require a seal from the registrar's office. And so I kind of really help alumni coordinate all of those things.
Thank you. Just to remind everyone, Alyssa will be in breakout room 1. Rebecca will be in breakout room number 2. Miriam will be in breakout room number 3. Taylor will be in breakout room number 4. And Claudia will be in breakout room number 5. All right. Yaz, I'm going
Great.
to pass it on to you for the questions.
Great. Thank you. And Nadine put in the chat the different breakout rooms and the speakers in each of those rooms.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to ask each speaker one question just to better understand the perspective that you will be hearing in their respective room. So I'll start with Alyssa. So Alyssa, you are still getting your hours towards licensure, both in California and Texas. So what is one piece of advice that you would give students who are about to start their associateship process?
I think, especially if you're considering getting licensed in multiple states, I think one piece of advice would be to just hone in on what your state board's regulatory, I guess, hours requirements are, and if you can get them, like if you can double dip. So my hours as an associate in Texas are counting for my hours towards licensure in California and vice versa, which is why I chose to pursue the LPC track in both states. Whereas if I had pursued an LMFT in one state and an LPC in another, according to the different boards, BHEC and BBS, I wouldn't be able to count those hours. So I would need 6,000 hours as opposed to 3,000. So I think just really trying to clarify what your intentions are post grad and which license you want to pursue, as well as which state, because that can help you understand what your options are in terms of getting your clinical hours.
Great. Thank you, Alyssa. So the perspective that Alyssa is really able to share is pursuing a professional counselor license in 2 different states at the same time. That's great. Thank you. Rebecca, my next question is for you. So you are licensed as an MFT in California and as an LPC in Arizona. So can you share a little bit about what led you to pursue the second license and what that process was like for you?
Absolutely. So at first, I did achieve my LPCC in California, and then I transferred it to Arizona. I just let the LPC in California, quite frankly, expire because there was really no need to maintain both licensures in California. And that was just a decision made off of financial reasons to save.
So you're able to speak to being licensed as an MFT in California and having a different type of clinical license in a different state, right? And so what you were able to do is you got the first one and then you applied for the second one in Arizona. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. Yes.
great.
So, already having achieved the LPCC in California, it just made it easier to then apply for the LPC in Arizona. I didn't have to fulfill additional continuing education units or any other hours. California has some of the strictest I guess, hour requirement, educational requirements. So it was really quite a cakewalk for me.
Great. Okay. So for those of you who are in the situation where maybe you're pursuing a license, let's say in California, and you're thinking down the road that you may want to apply for a license in another state, Rebecca would be able to provide her perspective as well too. And that is for California and Arizona. Thanks, Rebecca. Miriam, so you are licensed as a professional clinical counselor and a marriage and family therapist in California. And then you recently added Oregon as an LPC. So can you share a little bit about the distinction with the LMFT and the LPCC in California? And then what made you decide to pursue the Oregon license?
Yeah, I can try to speak a little bit to it. I don't know if I truly realized the distinction until I started working in the field and I would go to trainings with my colleague. They were an AMFT, and they would I remember going to some trauma trainings or different things like that, and the information would be familiar to me, but my colleagues would kind of have this like, oh, this is like completely new information for them. So for me, I really appreciated the way that the Pepperdine, that dual program, kind of set me up with a knowledge and experience that I kind of came in a head start in some ways when it comes to the field. Besides that, when it came to getting hours, I think probably the biggest difference might have been the couples and family. So since I kind of just thought, well, I paid for both, I'm interested in both, I kind of had it covered from both avenues, I guess. It's been a few years. So wanting to acknowledge that and how things can change. But I don't remember anything specific for the LPCC hours that stood out to me so much as the LMFT and the relational hours that I needed to get that were a part of that. And again, that gave me a head start for LPCC. So, for example, even though I'm not licensed as an LMFT in Oregon, because of that experience and that scope of competency, I still offer relational and that kind of, I can still offer those types of services to my clients. What was the second part? Do you
Oh,
remember?
about what led you to pursue a license in Oregon.
So I think that was a part of why I did both licensures when I graduated, kind of just wanting multiple pathways available to me, even though, as Rebecca mentioned, there is definitely a cost factor that comes into play. So for me, I had family in Oregon, or my parents more specifically. And so I always kind of had this idea that it would be nice to get licensed there. And since I have my own practice, it's also a little bit of a tax write-off. I can write off if I go see some clients or do trainings or anything in there, which is nice. Bonus. Get a little family and tax write off.
Great. Thank you. And so some of you may be wondering, what's the difference between pursuing the FT and the LPCC in California? Should I go for both? I think Miriam, similar to Rebecca, is able to provide that perspective. And then Miriam also added on this second license in another, or the third license in another state. And so would be familiar with that process as well, too. So Taylor. So Taylor is licensed as an MFT in California and Texas, and then licensed as a PCC in California. So Taylor, can you talk a little bit as well about the distinction that you've noticed between the MFT route and the PCC route in California, and then what led you to add on Texas?
Yeah, so similar to Miriam, I had kind of gone down the path in grad school where both were deemed important while I was in grad school. Like you're going to want both, especially that was kind of the message, right? If you're going to be moving states or you see that happening, try to get both. And I wasn't sure that I'd be moving out of state, but I kind of wanted to cover my grounds, right? So I kind of had pursued both up until graduation and thereafter as well. I was just getting hours sort of, you know, concurrently there. And then I was like, well, I might as well take the exam for both. You know, I'm here, I've done it. And so the distinction is minute, it's very nuanced, especially just California to California, right? LMFT and LPCC, very I mean, my clients don't super care, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, they're like your license, that's great. So that's kind of the nuance from California. But I also wanted to reach a larger clientele. And so in order to, get reach more clients and see more clients, I wanted to become licensed in other states. And so my husband and I had moved to Austin shortly after we got married out in Malibu. And so I was like, well, I need to get Texas. And so now I have about 50% of my clients that I see in California that are located in California and about 50% in Texas. My Utah license is relatively new. And then the LPCC, like I had said, in California has just sort of been there. I don't know that it's stagnant is the right word, but it's definitely just sort of like there.
Okay, great. Yes, and you have the Utah edition too. That's great. Thank you. Okay, well, last but not least, in the last couple minutes, I just wanted to invite Claudia to share a little bit more about her perspective because she often works with graduates who are going through that paperwork process of applying to the BBS or applying to the board at their particular state. And so, Claudia, can you share with us maybe two or three top recommendations that you want our graduates to know that maybe you've seen people get stuck with or cause delays or issues that you wish you could like let them know ahead of time?
Yes, absolutely, which is why I'm happy to be here. So, one, you want to keep a copy of your unofficial transcripts. You should have an official copy regardless, but you want to keep an unofficial copy with you all times. Like, take a picture of it, post it to a cloud drive, everything that you have to do, because you always want to have a record of every course that you've taken. Okay, so that's important. Just because you may need a quick reference and you may not want to pay for an official transcript, right? In addition to that, make sure you keep as much syllabi as you can, because depending on the state that you apply in, they may ask for a copy of a syllabi for a particular course. So Oregon specifically, sometimes even New York. I work with students who apply to New York all the time, actually. And for some of those other states, or even in Illinois, the accreditation is a little different. So they're going to review those courses to see if they meet the subject areas for approval. And that approval is up to that state agency. It's up to their board. And so you're basically pleading your case. And while you can always reach out to us for a copy of a syllabi, a syllabus, it may not be for the specific semester. Like, we may not have the archive of your particular session of that course for that semester. So just do as best as you can to keep those. And then the most important thing that I can tell everybody is, because you're going to need practicum information as well, please track your hours. Keep every copy of every hour that you have ever earned, because it will come up. It will continue to come up as you move throughout your career. I cannot tell you how many people I've spoken to from the year 2001 or even earlier who, they don't have their records. Either they didn't keep them, they lost them. One student that I spoke to a couple of years ago, she lost her records in a fire, and she had kept impeccable records, but you want to keep them in multiple places. You want to keep them on your laptop. You want to keep them, in a cloud drive. You want to make sure that you're protecting that information, because past a certain number of years, we don't have access to it anymore. We don't keep that, archived here forever. And so if you reach out to me and say, well, this particular agency wants you to confirm all of the hours that I did in my practicum, I am only going to be able to confirm the amount of hours, the minimum required for the time that you attended, right? That's all I can do. So that is like the most important thing that I can tell you, because that is the issue that students run into more often than anything else. And that's the one that's really going to stick, because they obviously want your practicum info. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Claudia. Great piece of advice for us to think about. So, all right, everyone. Well, now at this time, what we're going to do is transition into breakout rooms, and you'll have an opportunity to choose your own breakout room. I have up here some sample questions, and my colleague Nadine will also put those in the chat. And so look at the speaker lineup and choose which breakout room you'd like to go to. When you're in the breakout room, just so that we can make sure that everyone has an opportunity to ask a question, please use the raise your hand feature. And when I signal everyone, you have then the opportunity to switch rooms to hear a different perspective. And I really encourage you to do that so that you can hear from multiple speakers. So once the breakout rooms open, you'll have an opportunity to choose from the list. If you're unsure how to do that, at the bottom of your screen, you should see an icon where it says breakout rooms. And so if you click on that, then you'll be able to join the breakout room of interest. And later on, when it's time to switch, click on the breakout rooms icon again, and then click join next to your desired room. So Nadine has put them in the chat, but just as a reminder, these are the breakout rooms. And Nadine, are you ready to open those up?
Yep, I'm going to open them up right now.
Okay, great. And then I will signal us when there's 3 minutes left before we transition. So speakers, you can also go into your respective rooms. All right, welcome back, everyone. I heard some great conversations, great questions. I know it could have probably been a bit longer, but hopefully you had some of your initial questions answered. And I just wanted to thank our speakers again, Alyssa, Rebecca, Taylor, Claudia, and who am I missing? Taylor, I'm missing.
Is it Miriam?
Miriam. Okay, I was like, that's my mom's name. How could I forget that one? I just wanted to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to come speak to our community. That these conversations that we don't always get to ask these questions, they really make a difference. And so just please know how much we appreciate you giving back in this way. And just wanted you to know that your your time makes a difference. So thank you. Well, I'd like to now pass it over to my colleague, Gary Younger. Some of you here may be prospective students who are considering Pepperdine and particularly considering our clinical psychology program. So I'd like to turn it over to Gary, who will introduce himself and share a little bit more about how you can get in touch.
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks everybody for being here. Yes, I'm Gary Younger. I'm one of 6 enrollment officers at Pepperdine GSEP. We offer 3 Masters in Clinical Psychology MFT programs here at Pepperdine. We have the daytime program, we have the evening program. For those of you who have attended in the past, you're likely to have attended our Aliento program as the 3rd one. For new prospective students, the name of that program has transitioned to Latinx, but for all intents and purposes, Aliento and Latinx are virtually the same program, just with a name change. I can be reached for referrals to any of these programs at Gary, Gary dot Younger, Younger, at pepperdine.edu. I also happen to cover the PsyD program here, and when I was in one of the chat rooms, I happened to heard that there may have been some interest in PsyD. So if anybody out there is looking to parlay your master's in clinical psychology to a PsyD, please also reach me again at Gary.Younger, pepperdine.edu. I'll be quite happy to help you with that. With that, I'm going to pass it on to Usman.
Thank you, Gary. I'm here to share more about our vision for promoting access as part of our team. And we have our vision here specifically that highlights as part of our vision of career services that every graduate will have the clarity, confidence, and community to access, thrive in, and transform our future workplace. And then we want to ensure that each of our graduates, including you, have access to our resources and services from an equitable lens and to be able to foster a sense of community and belonging for each of you while being able to honor each of your unique backgrounds and identities. And as part of our resources today, we're sharing career guides specifically for our 7 states that we have based on the highest number of students for each state are online students. We have the licensure requirements for the professional counselor for each of these states, and we also have specific labor market information in terms of high demand sectors and salary overview. And you can access these on Handshake under the resource library. And then next, we also have our collections by state, which is a feature under the job search where you can see employers specifically for associate positions in California, as well as social services organizations in Texas, Oregon, and Arizona, where you can see different job opportunities for our students interested in those states for related to clinical work. And I'll pass it over to Yas next to share what's next.
Great. Thank you, Osman. So we'd love to know how this session was for you. This is actually our first time doing this particular topic. We really hope to expand our services to our online students in multiple states, not just California. So this was an opportunity for us to begin that process. So please, if you are a student or registered alum on Handshake, if you could just take a few moments to complete this brief survey. This also gives us an opportunity to hear what new topics you would like to learn about. For those that submit, you'll be entered into an opportunity drawing for an Amazon gift card. All right, and what's next? So April will be our final Jammy Career Chat for the spring term, and the topic is to doctorate or nottorate. So this is an opportunity to hear from alumni who have pursued different doctoral pathways and those who have pursued their careers at the master's level so that you can determine which pathway is right for you. So this has been a very popular topic, and so we try to do this at least once a year, and that will be on April 22nd, and Nadine has put the links for registration in the chat. And I'll turn it over to Mindy.
Okay, and please be sure to follow us on social media. We are covered everywhere. And also keep in mind that this is also a great way for networking and staying in touch with the greater Pepperdine community. And some of our speakers have kindly share their contact information in the chat. So please, take a look there if that will be helpful. And thank you all so much for staying till the end. Before I pass it back to close us up, we just like to take a group photo. So if you are comfortable turning on your camera on the count of 3, I'm just gonna snap a quick photo of the group. And if you like, you can also add a reaction or emoji to kind of add some cute emojis to the group photo as well. So let me make sure everyone is visible. And 1, 2, 3. And there's a lot of us. I'm going to do another one for the second screen. 1, 2, 3, say cheese. Okay, thank you all. And Yas, I'll pass it back to you to close us up.
You're muted, yes.
Sorry, I was saying something so riveting. You missed it. Thank you all so much for coming, taking the time out of your busy schedules to ask questions, to be curious, to share information. We really are excited about this community and look forward to our next one. So hope to see you in April. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.